everyone. My name is Lauren. I'm on the DevWorld team at Vonage, and you're watching my series, Lauren Learns Things on Vonage Devs on Twitch. This series is one where I learn things from my colleagues and friends and share that experience with you all live on Twitch. For some reason, I decided that's a good thing. But it's pretty fun, and I'm hoping that we'll have a good time today. Let me introduce my guest, and let me bring up his page or his beautiful face. There he is, my guest today. He is a second career developer who previously spent a decade in the field of adult education, community organizing, and nonprofit management. He is a developer advocate at Vonage by day and experiments with open source projects at night. He writes regularly on the intersection of community development and tech. Originally from South California and a longtime resident of New York City, he now resides near Tel Aviv, Israel. And his name is Ben Greenberg. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It's nice to be here.
Oh, I'm just so happy I finally got you on the show.
I am so excited to be joining you on this thing we call Twitch.
This thing we call Twitch. Hello, everyone that is joining us that is live right now. So happy to have you here watching us, or like kind of not watching it, but like if you want to code along with us or just hang out. I don't know what time it is where you are, but it's, mid-afternoon for me, very late where Ben is, 9 p.m. Are you 7 hours ahead of me?
It is 9 p.m. in my suburban town, which means it's late and very quiet.
That's
it's
good.
Nice.
Okay, I can appreciate that. Okay, just checking out who we have in the chat. Oh, Chris is here from our team. Hello, welcome, Dragon Man Tank.
Hey, Chris.
And whoever else is here, be sure to say hello in the chat. But yeah, okay, Ben, why don't you tell me what we are doing today? Like, what's the hacks?
What are we doing today? That's a big question. What are we doing today? What are we doing tonight? What are we doing ever?
I mean,
right?
I don't know. These past few months, who has any idea? But I do have pulled up on the browser view for y'all a recent tutorial that Ben wrote and built and created.
So we could do this today. Let's do this.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah. Do you want to?
Yeah, why not? We might as well.
Okay.
So I think this is really pretty neat technology. I think the whole notion of analyzing speech, playing with speech, human speech is really cool. So one of the new services we now have available on Vonage, which Lauren, is automatic speech recognition, which means essentially ASR.
Also, we have Noreen and Ben Jamin joining us right now.
The computer knows what you said.
Okay, so that means that it recognizes when I'm speaking, it hears me, and it recognizes me.
And converts it to text, which is pretty neat. So we've had already for a long time text to speech, which is you tell the API, our voice API, what you want it to say, and pick one of our many voices, and it will say it in that voice. This inverse, you say something and it tells you what you said or whoever else is speaking, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
it was a long time coming for us to have that, and it's an important part, I think, for accessibility, and it's just fun to play with, I think. Although don't get me wrong, I love playing with some of the voices that we have in our voice API for like the different accents that we can have the words respond in a voice call. They're very fun.
It can get a little wild sometimes, right?
Wild is a great word for it. Anyhow, I will put the tutorial that we're going to work through together in the chat if y'all want to follow along with us, as well as, let's see, I want to grab this is if you want to sign up for a Vonage account.
I want to sign up.
I mean, who doesn't? You'll get €2 worth of credit when you sign up, so you can follow along with the tutorial. But also take note that in the Twitch view that you have right now, right here is a coupon code for 10 more euros. You could really get wild.
That's a lot of euros.
Tell me about it.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Well, you were telling, I like kinked my neck. It's so uncomfortable, but it's gonna be great, and it's not a problem. That's the joy of doing things live. And let's just dive in. Where do we?
Okay.
I have my code up.
We have a new feature, right?
Okay.
And we have a new JavaScript runtime environment, relatively new. And I'm primarily a Ruby developer.
Yes,
so I thought to myself,
right.
Let's do something in this new JavaScript runtime environment, which is built on TypeScript, which I've never done before. That sounds awesome. And so we're gonna build an app with TypeScript running on Deno, which is that new JavaScript runtime environment that sounds so fancy, as it is the opposite of Node, right? Node, Deno, Node. And it's not a coincidence because the original creator of Node is also the creator of Deno. That is crazy and wild and awesome.
Well, it's not. Wait, so, Node? The opposite of Node would be Edon, right?
Oh, you're right. It's not the opposite. It's the same character.
It's a scramble, an anagram, if you will. Okay, I'm sorry.
Anagram.
Cool.
Definition of anagram. I think it's an anagram. That sounds right.
I mean, the chat. That feels like something the chat will definitely remind us if we're incorrect. But
those words, remember, at 9 o'clock at night are hard.
Node.sort. Oh, thank you. That's fun. Diana for the win.
Yay, Diana.
Wait, that was Aaron that told us. But also, I agree, Diana for the win. Let's just give her the win.
Well, Diana.sort is Aaron, maybe.
Oh my gosh. Whew. Anyhow, yeah, so I think that's really cool of you, and I think a neat thing to like acknowledge that you yourself are a Ruby advocate. You develop primarily in Ruby, and that is your love language, if you will, and
the language of my heart.
And yet, here you are trying on something totally different and new, and I think that demonstrates like such a cool thing about this industry itself is that we get to experiment and play with new things and be a constant learner, and that also you and I today get to kind of dig through the pieces that we don't understand of it and continue learning, because I haven't developed
continue the
it
adventure
yet. Yes. Truly.
It is an adventure.
This is definitely my first time with Deno. So, Benjamin, yes.
Have you heard about Deno at all a little bit before?
Well, from you.
From me?
When you've said that you were developing it. I feel like I don't have my ears to the ground the way a good developer advocate should, of like what is hot.
I don't think that's true, but you're being humble.
But I just hadn't yet experimented with it. So I appreciate you, because then this is like kind of the encouragement. So if you're watching or listening, participating with us, and you haven't played with Deno before, then have no fear. I'm right there with you.
So there's a few things you're going to experience with Deno, which I experience, which are both, I would say, benefits and saying it politely, delta points, perhaps. Or challenges with Deno. One, which is both sides of the coin, is there's no such thing as node modules in Deno. There isn't that like enormous black hole of dependency trees, of dependencies, and more dependencies, and you don't know exactly what you're including in your own app, and the node modules are 500 bajillion gigabytes of data. You just have no idea what it is.
Yeah, there are
so
a lot of
every
things.
Dependency in Deno has to be explicitly explicitly included in your application. So that's like one thing, which is interesting. But to build an API dependent app in Deno without using a Node SDK is an interesting experience, because we come to rely so much on our SDKs across the different API worlds.
Of course.
Like,
and I probably take a lot of things for granted in the world of node modules, of like things that I get out of the box that I don't think to install.
Exactly.
So that's going to be interesting. Okay, cool.
Exactly.
I mean,
so that's
down.
cool. And then the other thing is there is no default permissions granted to Deno. So you have to provide, when you're running Deno, everything you want to let it do on your system. So if you wanted to allow it to access the internet, you need to let it do that. To access files, you need to let it do that. Its default is to do nothing if you don't provide it with any sort of flags. which is also a really interesting sort of aspect of Deno. So those were like just a couple things that kind of popped up in my mind as I was
That's
going through this. Like,
interesting.
oh, that's different, and like an
Cool.
experience.
I mean, I think it's cool to go in with that lens of building and to play with like, okay, now I'm going to compare from what I'm comfortable with, and that is a good way then to understand the similarities, differences, and yeah, it's just like a nice kind of checkbox while as you learn to take note of.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So I know the prereqs for this tutorial was to install it, and I did do that. It was
Amazing.
really simple, straightforward, y'all. It was, I mean, like brew Deno, I think.
So
And
complicated.
brew install Deno, yeah. So we've got that on.
We got Deno. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing we want to do, if you scroll down a little bit in
yes.
the tutorial,
Yeah.
well, assuming we have a Vonage API account, and
That we
I
do.
think you have.
That we do.
You have one?
But folks, if you're watching
Amazing.
us, that's what you'll need, and that's what you should click. That nexmo.dev/Lauren learns things is
That
the
dashboard
link.
on that API account looks so nice. It was really kind of snazzy. Nice dashboard.
Truly a gorgeous dashboard.
Yeah. Amazing dashboard team. Just
I've heard they're
beautiful job.
nice.
They are really nice people.
That's so smart.
Okay,
anyway.
so we got our API account, right?
Yes, we have the
so
API.
Next thing I want to do is I mean, people build it in different ways. I'm sure you might build differently than I do. I always like to think about what my file structure looks like first.
Okay.
That's like sort of my entry point into everything. And then I kind of go from there. Other people do things differently, but for me, I like to know like where things are going to live and what things I need.
Okay.
So if you look on that sort of handy dandy sort of file, what's the word for that? File
Tree?
outline folder, a file tree. It's a tree.
That's
It's a
what I
beautiful
remember
tree.
from boot camp days is when they would, give an assignment and they would say, how would you get into or remove or delete and make it look like this?
So that's what it is.
Okay.
It's a tree. It's like an oak tree or a pine tree
Oh,
or a
Great.
apple tree.
Oh,
It's
I
just
do speak in my language. Okay.
just a beautiful tree.
Yes, and I think I actually, in prep for this walkthrough in my code base, let's look. I'm pretty sure speech translation app is what I called this directory.
Awesome.
So I followed that first
And have you
step.
created the file tree yet?
Uh-uh.
Oh, so should we do it together?
I mean, I would love to.
Let's do it together.
Okay, so do you want me to, we're just making all of those files that you have.
I would just touch them, and you see how they like end with .ts because they're signifying that they're TypeScript files.
Oh, that's what that
So so like a top level data folder,
Yeah.
which will hold sort of the lists of information we're going to use for the application,
Uh-huh.
and then a services folder with a subfolder called auth, which is going to hold a small function we're going to create that's going to get us our JSON web token when we're authenticating to Microsoft Azure. And then we're going to have these 3 files under services, the translate file, which is going to hold our function to actually do the translation with Azure. A language picker file, which is going to have a function which is going to go through that languages list in the data folder and pick one for us. And then a voice picker, which is going to have a function which is going to take what language was chosen, see if there is a Vonage voice that can speak that language in an accent that's appropriate to that language, and then pick that voice. And if not, then just give us a default if there isn't one. And then finally, there's 2 top-level files there. Sort of the entry file, which is server.ts, which will be the actual web server for us. And then a .env, where we're going to keep a couple confidential, top secret, super, super important environment variables that hold the most valuable data, our API information for Azure.
Okay. You did a perfect job or timing in your speaking just now, in that I just finished creating all of those files as you I'm not sure if I have any spelling typos or whatnot in it, but
And we didn't even practice that, Laura.
no, that was, I mean,
that was crazy. That was wild.
So
That's
beautiful.
awesome.
I mean, it's the
beautiful.
little things in streaming. No one will appreciate that, but that was exciting for me.
That was amazing.
I mean, I think anyone who's watching the stream who has streamed with me before know that there's like an art in getting things well lined up and executed. But anyhow, all right. So thank you for walking me through what all of those different folders will do. Now in your tutorial, we're at that creating the Deno server section.
Okay, this is where we're gonna have some fun. So I see you have already a code editor open. That's awesome. So let's open the server.ts file. Was that too affirming? That was a little too affirming, right?
For me, there's no such thing. But we'll see what other folks think. I think you and I both are pretty affirming humans, and what's the word for it? I'm trying to think of what the it'll come to me. I just we're pretty genuine in our excitement on things, but
it's
sometimes
true.
people, us as a combo, a dynamic.
Well, I'm also doing the mental transition of helping my kids just recently do some of their math homework.
Sure.
And so it's like you have a certain voice when you're speaking to your kids.
Yep.
And that's not the same voice you want to use with your colleagues.
That's really funny. That I have a teacher voice also. Being a prior, school teacher, that's right. My brother in particular really grinds on me. He's like, "Don't put on that teacher Lauren voice right now." Sorry, you're right. You're
as
totally
a former
right.
rabbi, I would sometimes put on that rabbi voice.
Yep.
Like, so what I'm hearing you say, if I understand
yes,
some frustration right now, and I want to work through that frustration together. And sometimes he'll be just like, put that voice away.
Mm-hmm. You put that voice away. Okay, cool. Well, it's safe here. Okay,
so we got the server open.
Yep, I got it open.
And this is our web server. So Deno is a runtime environment. It's kind of like web server agnostic. We can choose sort of any framework we like to sit with. The one I chose for this purpose is called Opine.
Okay.
And the reason why I chose it is very similar. It's essentially a port of Express.js.
Oh.
So if anyone's had any familiarity with using Express, which is a very popular Node web server framework, then you would have base with Opine.
Yeah, we've built on this series quite a bit with Express, so that should be, if folks are joining us again, that is something we're familiar with. But okay, cool. So we'll pull in Opine.
So the first thing you have to do is you have to import Opine.
Okay.
And again, there's no Node module, so you actually have to reference the actual URL where Opine lives in order to. Okay. And then you could actually click on that link and see the code living on Deno land. And so you can find out basically what you're importing into your application without having to kind of search through an endless array of Node modules.
Interesting.
So we have Opine now. Then once we have Opine, we need to instantiate it. And we do that by defining it as a const variable.
Okay.
And calling it, right, Opine with the parentheses.
Yep.
I always forget the parentheses in JavaScript or TypeScript, but yes, the parentheses are important.
Okay.
And so, otherwise, you're not actually calling the function, you're just referencing it.
Right.
Okay, so now we have it, and we're going to create basically 3 get routes.
Okay.
These could be post routes for the web for them as well, but we're going to do get. I like get. I don't know. I'm preferential to get.
Okay.
No idea why. We can talk about. But 3 get routes, and then we also are going to after the routes, we want to say that the app is going to listen on a port.
Yep.
So this seems very much like Express, right?
Yep. Totally.
And we're going to say port 8,000.
Oh, okay. We're
gonna go in there.
Sure. Tell it 8,000. You said.
8,000.
Oh
8,000 is like a nice number.
I haven't played in the world of 8,000 in a bit. That's fun. We'll do.
8,000 is kind of cool.
I'm here for it. Let's just do a quick log also, just to tell us where we're running from. Server is running on port 1,000. Cool. All right. So
Awesome.
So our gets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our gets are asynchronous functions.
Okay.
And they're going to have a request and a response.
Okay.
So we can actually define those routes now, and then we can actually spend some time in a moment after we define them, like constructing them.
Okay.
But one will be respond to a get on webhooks answer.
Yep.
And so we'll just async function here, request with a request and response, and we'll leave it blank for now, like the actual body of the function.
Yeah, that sounds
and
fine.
we'll get back to that in a minute. And then
so we'll like
just
this
blank.
is just nothing yet.
This is the entryway for the phone call. So
Gotcha.
like someone's going to call our app on its phone number, and it's going to get to that route.
Got it.
And then we have to do something with it, the route. And the next one is webhook/ASR. This is where the data is going to come back to us from the Vonage Voice API with the text of what was spoken.
Okay.
So exact same format, async function, request, response. And we're going to do something with it.
Oh, we are going to do something with it right now.
Oh, we are. No, not right now. But
of course. Sure.
Yeah, we're going to get in there. That's an important one.
You promise.
And the last one is not so important for us right now.
Yeah.
Because we're not really going to do much with it, but just to log it.
No, and I think it's good too.
Yeah, right? Because everything in the life cycle of a phone call, with a voice call with Vonage, you can get back the data on that life cycle. So when it started ringing, when it was answered, if it was rejected, if it was hung up, those will all hit as payload to that event webhook. And so we're going to define it as webhook/event. And all we're essentially going to do there is return a status of 204, which is like HTTP status code equivalent of saying, thanks guys, or people, or folks, like I got it. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. That's basically it. So now we have our 3 routes, or 3 routes, however you want to pronounce it.
It's a hot debate on this series. Actually, it truly is. But I'm cool with both.
Route or route? We got 3 of them. It's awesome. So the first one's going to take in the incoming call, and then take in the voice data that comes back. And the second one is going to take that the converted speech to text, and going to send that to Azure and to the speech translation API of Azure, and then translate into the chosen language we've chosen to translate it into, and we'll get back that data from Azure, and then we will speak it back to the person, and then conclude the call. And the third one is just going to acknowledge all the lifecycle event data that comes back, and lets the API know that we heard it. Cool.
Aaron says route. I forget now what I say. I think I say route. I actually forget every time.
Say route?
I think I say route.
Is it more American to say route?
It feels American. And it feels American of me not to know, like, what? Like, for me to be like, everyone says that, right? Anyhow. Okay, cool.
Anywho. Yes.
We are...
Webhooks. We're in that route.
In the answer. We're in the first get.
We're in the first get.
Yeah.
And so there's different identifier markers for a call, and the most important one for an individual call is the UUID, the U squared, the W, the UUID.
The W. Sorry.
Which is the caller ID.
Yes.
And we want to grab that because that's what we need when we're sending the ASR request back to the Vonage Voice API. We need to identify the call.
Yep.
So we're going to grab that from the request, and we get it from the query parameters. And now we have it, which is cool.
Yeah, very cool.
And what's really cool about when you're building an app that's only receiving calls, you actually, all you need to do is just like respond to it. You don't need to authenticate to the voice API. You don't need to worry about like setting up a voice application, any of that stuff.
Good point.
You just respond. That's all you're doing because the call's already coming to you. So as you know, the way to respond to a voice call on Vonage is with an NCCO, a Nexmo call control object. Not a VCCO. NCCO, a Nexmo call control object. Which is JSON.
Our JSON Derulo. Let's get it
That's what it is.
started. If anyone disagrees with me, come at me. This is
they're ready.
My stream. Cool. Right. So an NCCO, that's something in our world of developer advocates at Vonage we're super familiar with, but walk me through, like, what am I doing here when I type this out?
What are you doing there? You're doing so many things.
I don't know.
You are defining a JSON object, which can have a multitude of actions. And each action has its own parameters and different permutations of parameters, different possibilities. The most basic one for receiving a voice call would probably be the talk action, which is you received a voice call, someone's called you, and you want to talk back to them, right? So that's what we're doing there. We defined a talk action, and that has a different parameter options. The one required one there is, well, quite simply, what do you want to say?
Right.
So that's the text parameter, and there we just put in some
you just saw me type
text.
Some welcome to, let's call it the Vonage Universal Translator. Actually, randomizer brought to us by Lauren Learns Things, because, let's get some more marketing brand.
Wherever you can. It's really important.
Hashtag things.
If you don't promote yourself, who's going to?
Who will? I mean,
you have to own it.
Types out UIGIO. What are you talking about? UIGIO. I don't know. Types out UIGIO.
UIGIO.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Tell me more.
So barge in.
Tell me about that
says, the caller doesn't have to wait for the message to finish. They can start doing the next thing. Because what's more frustrating for me, at least, is having to wait for the whole automated message, like barge in.
Let me do it.
And then the next thing we're doing here is defining an action input. An input could either be one of two things. It could be DTMF or speech. DTMF is kind of the classic input, which is like you call one of those phone prompts and they're like, press 1 for Lauren, press 2 for Ben, press 3 if you just want someone to talk to who's a real human being. And the other form is speech, which is our new form, a new parameter, which is not a number input, but saying something. And the speech input actually has all different kinds of cool parameters. You can define like what words you're really kind of highlighting or paying attention to. If you want it as an array, we're not going to do that. You could define the language the speech is being put in, which is what you did there. The UUID, again, like that comes from that UUID. And then you can also define your event method. The default is post, but we are reverting to get because I like get. And the one thing we're going to do a little different here that's different from the tutorial is we're going to change the event URL on line 13 in your thingamajiggy.
This. You want to put in... Yeah.
I want to put an actual event URL, and I update the blog post because I think it's the more dynamic event URL. And you found it because I shared it with you a moment ago.
Yeah, I did. Look at that. Okay, so I have it. I will pop it for you all to see. And I'll
say why we're doing that.
Okay, cool.
This URL is essentially saying so if you've never seen this before, I looked it up because it does look right. It's really interesting. The X forwarded proto, you can look that up in the Mozilla docs. That's a way of saying get the
I just finally got my neck fixed. Oh, sweet relief.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is a new woman. I'm here, and I'm ready to party. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we have the rec.header.get, and then that's, you said, the Mozilla docs, this forwarded.
So that's the get the HTTP protocol, whether it's HTTP or HTTPS. So we get that. If we can't get it, we default to HTTP, and then we do the ://
Bless you.
And then, thank you. And then we say get the host. So the host there is coming from the headers, and the host could be whatever your accessible URL is.
Okay.
So the previous way I used to do this was say put in there your like externally accessible URL by hand, but calling and referencing the headers and getting them from the request data is a way of doing that without having to always constantly redefine what your externally available URL is. And then we provide the backslash webhook and backslash ASR.
Okay.
I think that's a better way of doing it. It's a more dynamic way. It's like more whatever, flexible.
Sure. I love flexibility. Cool. So then
flexibility.
In your tutorial, you kind of walk us through all the things that you just said verbally. But then you also have a status. Should I add this piece?
Yes, we should add that piece.
Okay,
that's a good piece. That's a way of letting the Vonage API know explicitly that you receive the call.
Okay.
It's sort of like the way you're working with webhooks is basically the API is sending you the data a lot, and it will keep on sending it to you until it either times out or you let it know that you received it. So that's a nice way to let it know you received it. Cool. So we now have an answer route. That's amazing. Congratulations, us. Yay.
Woohoo!
So now that route.
I'm not allowed to drink any more water. I have to pee, and we're only half an hour into this. Okay.
Whatever's in my cup.
It's gonna get interesting.
It's 9:30 at night.
Okay.
So we want to go to the next route.
Okay, we want to go to the ASR one, webhooks.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ASR.
I'm ready.
ASR one's now going to receive that data from our ASR feature on the Vonage API, and we're going to do something with it.
Okay.
So the first thing we want to do is we want to grab it.
Okay.
We want to kunst it or const it.
Kunst it. Okay, and that's going to be, we'll wait for the JSON Derulo to come to the party.
Like, awesome. It's awesome.
And then that's going to be a query, and we'll call it,
speech. That's the data.
Nice.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to define a blank variable.
Okay.
And if someone codes in JavaScript much more than I do, I'm sure there are prettier ways of doing this. This is how I did it.
I like this. It's so Ruby. It's so. But
I need a variable to hold my data.
It's great.
And then we're going to have an if-else statement.
Great.
Because sometimes there's cases where it didn't pick up your audio, for example, or couldn't understand you, and then it would error out. So we don't want our application to error out. We want it to be a little friendlier than that.
Right. We can all imagine that scenario in which, whatever is happening.
Life is happening.
Yeah.
Your kids came to the room. You couldn't speak clearly and didn't get it. So instead of that, we are going to say if there wasn't any data, let me know in the console.
Okay.
And then I'm going to actually default and set the value of that variable I created to be something just like a Vonage ASR does not pick up your speech, and it'll actually say that to me instead. There's many different ways you could have done this. You could have raised an exception instead or something, but this felt fun because you would still get to hear something in another language. It may not have been what you thought you said, but it'd be Vonage ASR saying it would be it telling you it didn't pick.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Pretty cool. I really like that. Okay.
And then we need an else.
Yeah, we need an else. Okay, and that's going to be. We'll name it then. And we'll name that pup. We will set it to the true. This is best case scenario. It's working, and we'll set it to the first in that array, and it's the text.
Yep. Yeah. The data comes back as an array of objects.
Lovely.
Lovely. And then we are going to actually pick out of a hat our language choice and our voice choice.
Okay.
And we're going to do that. First, I always create the methods, and then I always define the methods, and I reference them, then I create them after. Okay. So it's like, they don't exist right now.
This is what's really fun about this live stream is learning the patterns that folks on our team have, and it really helps me kind of understand. I don't know, there's just something fascinating about hearing you metacognitively think about this is I always do it this way, and this is why I do it. It's different experience than just reading the tutorial.
If it's a way that makes sense or not. It makes sense to me.
Well, we know we have an opinionated group of folks, so they will always weigh in if they disagree. How do you
do it, Lauren? Do you create the functions or methods first, and then you do?
Yeah, but that's totally this works, and that's I actually think there's I'm getting a lot from thinking about it this way. Is how I would say it.
I think it's also really interesting too.
I do too.
Yeah.
I just said I do too about what I just said, so that was fun.
Well,
to hear me
what
say.
you do say is often interesting, so it makes sense. Cool.
Okay, and then
So
we're
now
gonna log.
we're gonna log the actual choices that are made, so we can see it on the console as well. So we grabbed a language, we grabbed a voice, and the language function takes in the list of languages, and the voice function takes in the list of voices and the choice of the language to use in the function. And we're going to log it out to the console that the language that we're translating it into is the language choice.name, and the Vonage, whatever it says over there, like Vonage language voice being used is the voice choice.
Oh, I love the language voice being used. Y'all don't know what I'm quite talking about yet, but you will. It's so fun.
The award for Voice Choice 2020 goes to...
So fun. Okay. Fabulous. So we have now... Is this the end of this get?
I think we want to set a 200 here as well,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. In that route, yeah. Or in the beginning. It doesn't really... I don't think it really matters where.
Okay. Well, we want it to look the same, like that.
Exactly the same.
Okay, cool. Let's grab that from there and then pop it. I'm gonna put it at the top? Okay.
And then the last thing we want to do in this method is we want to create another JSON object called an NCCO in this method.
Okay.
So this method's got a lot of stuff going in this route, this function, right? Function is the word. This function's got a lot of stuff going in it.
Totally.
Probably could have cleaned it up and abstracted it out and done all kinds of fun stuff, but I didn't. And this one will have 3 talks as the actions.
Okay.
Nothing else. No more inputs.
Okay.
Nothing else, because this is the conclusion of the call. And the first talk is going to tell you what you said in English. And if you notice, I called the variable most confident results text because we actually get back from the automatic speech recognition, we get back an array of possibilities from most probable to least.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
That'll be really fun. All right, awesome.
The
Aaron
least
said
probable
that
ones are
he
really
creates
funny.
his functions as first. I bet that one is going to be really good. That he creates
Aaron
a function
creates his
first, as he does the red squiggly line annoys me too. And Aaron's code impacts and influences mine quite a bit, so that we can understand why, or like that makes sense that I do things similarly. Then I just skipped our action. Gotten my groove. Okay. Text.
So he creates the functions first, and you create the functions first.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have in your mind like where they're all gonna sit, where they're all gonna be used as you're creating them? Do you have like a mental map in your head?
If I've given it, if I've given any thought to my design, which I oftentimes don't, unfortunately.
Which you probably most of the time do. Again, you being humble, I'm sure you do.
No, I mean, I sometimes think about, I loved my instructors at Ada Developers Academy, which is the coding boot camp I went to. And just sometimes, one time I was giving a talk at a conference, Cascadia JS, and my instructor was in the audience. And I mean, it was a big conference. There were a lot of people there, hundreds of folks, all at Amazon. It was like a big space. I was rattled by the fact that human, my instructor, who I just who taught me to code, was then listening to me talk about some, opinion I had. I was so rattled, and they're the people I think about when I, come up with these conventions or break conventions even of like, oh, he would hate that, but I don't know. I mean, you got to develop your own opinion on things every once in a while.
I totally hear you. I mean, every time I write JavaScript to this day, I think back to my last couple final projects in my boot camp,
Yeah.
and how like I had to go back and revise and refactor them so many times because I just for some reason JavaScript couldn't get in my head.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was challenging.
That's so funny. You know, speaking of things like not being able to get in your head, the first time Ben and I ever met was at RubyConf. 2017.
1976, obviously.
That was the week at Ada that it was jQuery week, and
Right.
I cannot, like, to this day there are things in jQuery that I like feel like I don't fully get, and it's just funny to think about. And I remember like coming back and being like, I miss jQuery week. I think I should drop out. I don't understand it.
Instead of jQuery week, I was at RubyConf. Like,
Yeah.
how does it help me in jQuery?
I know, and they were like, yeah, I think you're gonna be okay. Like, this isn't the end of the world. But it was just like, all learning happens so fast in that environment, and it was such a good opportunity to go to RubyConf because it taught me about, that's when I learned about like developer relations in the first place, and how I found just this
exact same thing.
like Chloe was there, and we met her, and we were just like so
Chloe.
obsessed, and we were like,
Our
this
DevRel mentor.
Exactly.
Our DevRel,
And so,
inspiration.
there's just like such good things that came from it, but it was just really funny. Like, I felt so behind and thinking I was going to never be able to catch up, and I don't know. It's just, and that was the same like instructor too that I like cried to, and then it was just so funny. Like, I remember after giving that talk, he came and was like, "Okay, remember when you cried thinking you weren't gonna like learn to code?" He was like, "I learned a lot from that talk." Oh my gosh, Dan, what?
But that's affirming, right?
Oh,
That's
totally. Okay, Aaron says that 99% of jQuery has been, yes, exactly. So that's why I feel totally good anyhow, that like, it was a good thing for me to miss, honestly.
Totally. And honestly, most of my refactoring for those projects was in the jQuery. It was like trying to manipulate the DOM and change HTML objects. And I kept on doing it in a really kind of not very clean fashion, let's just say.
Sure. Well, and speaking of clean fashion, he just called us out a bit and said, well, we all totally write tests before. That is something that I think I will like any coding instructor would be mortified by. I mean, so just if you're all watching, like, our job is so much of building out apps and quickly developing sample versions, using our APIs, kind of being on the ground floor. When our company puts out a new product, we need to build with it and then share it with the world on how you can also do it. And that means that sometimes tests, unfortunately, don't happen, but you are good at it, Ben.
So I have to tell you, one of my proudest moments of working at Vonage was my other hat in Vonage is I'm one of the engineers that works on our documentation platform. And I have built somewhere around 120, 150 tests, maybe closer to 200 at this point, and took our platform from not as tested to a much more tested.
Your rates, or like the stats that you shared recently, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so impressed. Because I do not. I
had not written a single test before that day. Because there was no testing in our boot camp. I mean, the curriculum was built on tests, but it wasn't there as a part of the curriculum.
What did you then decide to use for your test then? What did you
for which test?
To write those tests.
Well, that was for Vonage.
Mm-hmm.
So that was all like RSpec tests.
RSpec? Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, a lot of RSpec and mini tests.
That brings me back. Okay,
Seriously.
so up at the top of the server TS file, I put all of our local files that we've already
Which you've
created.
noticed, they're all squiggly red lines because those things don't actually exist yet. But as we create them, they'll get less squiggly.
But it's good to put it in
which
there,
is really
so
cool.
we don't forget.
I think it's good to put it in there.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And did we define the event route, the last one?
Did I skip
All
ahead?
the way at the bottom. No, I think that was it.
Yeah, we put
Did
in
we
this.
console log it out or anything, or we just put that? We could just do that. That's fine. It'll like clog up our
want me
console.
to?
I think that's okay. No, we don't really. I mean, maybe if people want to see what it looks like, the event data as it's coming in, it might be interesting. But there could be quite a lot.
Well,
but you can see the whole life cycle of a phone call.
If we do
you can see
the request.
Yeah, request
data
query.
Oh yeah, query.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to create the services, the functions, and we want to create the data arrays.
All right.
This I would recommend just copying and pasting because it's a lot of stuff.
Okay, so I'll show y'all what I'm copying and pasting it from.
This
so
is
going to
the
go into
language
languages.
list.
Okay.
These are all the languages that
Dang.
we do from automatic speech recognition.
I don't know if Diana's watching, but she taught me this trick. Where if you press that third little button, it gets you ready to... Okay, and then you said this is going into the data
languages.ts.
Okay. Oh, it wasn't highlighted. Okay, there we go. Whoa, look at that. How long it is.
A lot of languages. And that was just... I think there's actually a new one that was just added yesterday.
Ooh, we got added.
I think we updated Welsh maybe. Either we added or we updated.
Look at us.
We're on it, you know? What can I say?
Gosh, we're so
and we have
cool.
so many cool languages.
Work for us.
We have Zulu, Vietnamese, Urdu, India, Urdu, Pakistan, Thai.
Wow.
We got a lot of cool stuff there.
This is so fun.
And these
How
are
cool
our
is
voices.
our job? Okay, this part I just love. Like, I just love some of these. There's just something so fun about all of it. We'll show you why I'm geeking out about this piece right now, but essentially this is all the different voices and languages that match, and it's going to be super cool. So.
Oh, I think we updated the voices, by the way. I think there was an update to the Vonage Voices for Welsh. I think it was today.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay,
so now we have our data.
My phone is blowing up. There's nothing bad going on. Y'all would tell me in the chat. Sometimes I keep my phone just in case someone wants to text me and be like, hold on, your stream is fully breaking, but I actually don't think it's that. Okay, we're good. So now we are good.
If you look at server.ts, by the way, those squiggly lines will be gone, I think, for the voices. Language, they should be gone.
Voice. Well,
nope.
No.
Language
we're not
list.
calling it ever yet.
What's the if you highlight over it, what's the error for voices list?
The voices. It's
Is it?
we
Okay,
just
fine.
We're
Okay.
not using it yet.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna create our function, which is going to get us our Azure JSON Web Token, which is what we need to call the Azure Speech Translation API.
Oh.
So did we mention the full flow of the app, which is basically...
I was just going to say that I think we need to pause. And what are we doing?
We need to pause, right? Break. We get the speech from Vonage Auto Speech Recognition.
Yep.
We then take that converted speech to text and we send it to Microsoft Azure Speech Translation API, which takes it and converts it to another human language and then sends it back to us as...
Because we don't, so for example, that means like what we're saying in that is that we don't have the ability to do that translation.
We do not have speech translation yet.
And sure. Good. This is, and hello to us in the future if we do have it. And this tutorial is deemed null. But
well, just until very recently, we didn't have our own automatic speech recognition.
Exactly.
So all of our other tutorials had to be and reference Azure
I've
or
definitely
Google Cloud.
built those, so
100%.
Don't read those anymore.
And this is, so we're using TypeScript, obviously, and TypeScript defines its types. That is not the most well-defined type there, which is after that first colon, we define it as any.
Yeah.
Saying it could be anything. That's pretty dynamically typed code, but forgive me. Data is underscore, by the way, on line 3.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that Azure endpoint on line 2 is we're getting from our environment variables, our .env, we're grabbing the Azure endpoint that is unique to our account. Azure defines regionally specific endpoints per account. So we need a unique one. And then this is where we're actually creating the function. I think we could put a line between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not in the...
No, I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And here we're saying we're creating a function called getToken, which is async, and it takes in a parameter of a key, which is either a string or undefined. Again, it could be cleaner in its typing, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
And we have a little bit of error or edge case handling. If there isn't a key, so if someone didn't provide a key, then we say, hey, you're missing your Azure subscription key. You must add it. And then we early return, and we end the function.
Yeah.
That's the first sort of error. And then the other one is if there isn't an Azure endpoint, we want to let the person know, hey, you might have forgotten to include your Azure endpoint in your .env file. You need to define that as well. Trying to be friendly.
That's really nice of you. This is, I love this. I think, or when we say nice of you, it means like we're being kind to our developer and helping them kind of recognize where the error is.
And being kind to me, because I may have forgotten those things as I was building it, and it would help me.
Yeah, I think that's super fair. Kind to yourself, kind to your developers that will future build off of it. So I think that's super fair and fun. Okay.
And then now we're going to define the data in data, which is an await. We're going to fetch, and we're going to use await to wait for the data, and we're going to fetch from that Azure endpoint the token. So it's the Azure endpoint to a string. I don't know if you need to actually call to string there. It felt right to me. Again, what do I know? But it felt right.
And then we're building out the URL issue token.
Right.
Token. Cool. And then, within that, we're going to... put in there. We're going to do a post.
It's a post request.
It's a post request.
I didn't define it. Microsoft did.
Okay. So I'm just going to then copy and paste.
This is like copy and pasted from their docs, basically.
So this is the headers. And then from here, we're going to
grab the data and get the text from the data, which is going to be our key. It's going to be our JSON web token, our JWT.
Yeah.
And then we're going to return that.
Okay.
I think you need to explicitly return in JavaScript. Return the text.
It's very Ruby of you. I love it. I love seeing the patterns in it, though. It's awesome. Sick. Okay, cool.
So now we have a method, or we have a function to get our token, which is awesome.
Love it.
And the next one we want to create is now we're going to use that token to get the translation of the text that we sent to Azure.
So go to translate.
So we need to import the token from that method, that function.
Okay.
And then we also can, again, import the script from Deno land that lets us access our .env. Right?
Yep,
and then
of course.
are going to define another const. This all looks very similar, which is going to be the Azure subscription key, which is going to come from our environment variables. And that subscription key can either be a string or undefined. There's probably, again, a better way of doing that and just keeping it to a string and then letting the user know. That's the benefit of TypeScript, right? Like they would know right away before running it that it was a problem. But we'll leave it as undefined because we're being friendly. Leave it as the possibility of being undefined.
Okay.
Although you can argue that's not friendly. You can argue it'd be even friendlier to not leave them that possibility and make it error out. But
I see what you're saying.
Whatever. We'll let it go either way.
Subscription. Oh, I need to make sure to finish this. Key. Nope, it's all caps. Okay. Key. Cool. So that's that. And
now we're going to make the fetch request to the Azure speech translation API, which looks similar but is different than the one that got us the JWT.
Okay, talk to me about that then.
Well, it's sort of different headers because we're now doing a different kind of request, and we're making it to a specific endpoint. The endpoint is not sort of account specific. It is their endpoint. The only thing that's dynamic in that endpoint is going to be the language code we're going to use. We're going to pass in.
Okay. I see.
And if you notice, right, there you go. Language code is a string, and the text, i.e. the subscription key, not the key, the token is a string. And then, right, okay. And then the token is getting the token from that method, that function, Azure subscription key.
Okay, makes sense.
And now create a const called response, which is the fetch request, to api.cognitive.microsofttranslator.com.
Okay, I'm going to copy and paste
/
that.
a bunch of other things.
Right. Oh.
And it's API version 3.0. I always find it fun to see like what version is so like versioning. It's like one of those things that I think are like interesting. Like with IBM Watson, there is a version that has not changed, and you have to reference that version when you're calling the sentiment analysis API. And that version it's a dated version. It's like from 2018, I think, or something like that.
Right.
And I'm like, what on that date in 2018? That must have been like a really important, pivotal date in the history of IBM Watson. I always have to your imagination come in wild in those things.
I mean, we could ask who? Zach on our team. He comes from that world. We could say, hey, tell us what happened on that.
What happened on June 14th?
He'd be like, I have no, what? What are you talking about? This is a hard word. No, authorization.
Authorization.
I can do it. Bearer.
And then this is T format, bear token.
Cool. And then we have this, and then we need this. I could do with this.
Bring up by the body.
Okay.
Is the text we're passing in to get translated. Which is really cool. It is an array of an object.
Yep. Okay.
A single object array.
Text. Cool.
And then we're going to create another variable. Are we missing? We're missing something. A squiggly line. This semicolon. Whatever those are called. What are those called? It's so late at night. What are the? No, on line 3 in the sample, I think we're missing after body the squiggly parentheses end. There's a fancy word for that. On the sample code in the demo, in the blog post. Look at line. Go down.
Oh.
After body.
Weird. Why did it start over there? I see that also. So is that? What? How did I miss one? That makes me feel nervous. But I don't want this one though.
Maybe we have an extra one somewhere.
I had that one there. That one's looks like we're better now.
We are better. So before we close the function entirely, we want to just get the translation.
Yeah, of course. And we'll do the same thing we did before, where we'll await it, and we will do type JSON. So stupid. I should learn, but I don't.
I love the transparency.
Oh my god, it's just like it's on my mind. Okay, and then this is fun. I haven't seen this text or this.
This is probably not the strictest way to type something, but you have to also provide types for the data coming in. And so here we're just saying it's anything. It's whatever we want it to be. It's translations could be anything, text can be anything.
Oh, okay.
But we can do better than that. But we're not going to do better than that now. And this is good.
Okay. Cool. So then we're happy with this.
I think we are. So now we have a function to translate.
Okay.
So we have a function to get the token. We have a function to use that token to translate. Okay. And we have our data list for languages and voices.
Okay.
Which means we have a lot of it already built now. And the last, I think, 2 things we need to build is we need to pick a language.
Okay.
And we're going to do that entirely randomly.
Okay. I love that.
We're not going to influence it in any way.
Yeah.
We're just going to say languages is going to be anything that comes back from the list.
Okay. And then we'll do const language equals, and we'll just do a pretty tradish
Very traditional.
random
Math
selector
for with
of it.
random
Yeah,
select
this
the
feels
length.
fun.
Yeah.
Okay, and then language. Yeah, languages.
This is like old school,
yeah,
right?
I love this. This is so fun. Wait, am I missing a
You're missing a
parens?
math for.
Yeah, wait, what did I do? Math dot floor, that's right.
We were just really into
Oh my
the
god,
traditional
I just like,
math.
God, how can I fix this? I can fix this. Math dot floor
Parentheses.
and then parens goes here.
Yes, before the end of the bracket.
Okay.
Bracket, right? After
Yeah,
this, yes.
yeah.
And then return the language. Explicit returns.
Sweet. All right, that is that in there.
So now we have a language. It could be anything.
Cool. Okay.
And the last thing we want to build is the picking of the voice from the Vonage voice list.
Okay.
And this is similar, except we're going to be a little more deliberate. And by a little, I mean a lot. Which is we're going to take in the language choice and use it to find a voice that matches.
Okay.
If we can find one that matches. So we're going to say that the voice choice is first we're going to define and we're going to give it an actual value. We're going to give it a default value. And the default value we're going to give it based on the assumption that most people are going to be using this demo app might be accustomed to a US English voice. Yeah. We're going to use Sally. As our default.
An I.
Got to be unique, you know.
She is so unique. She is an independent woman.
Yeah, she's pretty great.
She is. Okay, cool.
But that's our default voice choice. But we also want to say that won't be our only voice choice. No. Maybe we might find something else. No offense to Sally.
No. She's great, but that's like the fun of this tutorial is.
That's fun of it.
Voices.
And we're going to say that the voice picker takes in a parameter of voices, which is an array of objects.
Okay.
Here we're being a little specific in our typing.
Yep, I like
because
this.
I forgot how to do it, basically. And then any, and that's going to be sort of the arrow declaration.
Yep.
And then voice choice can then equal using the find function from JavaScript.
Yeah, love her. Okay, and then that's
voice.
Function. No, it's a double. Okay, well, wait. Let me.
It's a double. It's a paren squared.
Okay, there it is. Okay, it wasn't like letting me. It was making an assumption on.
It was resisting.
Okay.
It shouldn't be doing assumptions. Yeah. And then that's itself going to have an arrow.
Yep.
And that's going to be voice.code equals language.code.
And we've got 3.
Well, it's strict equality.
Yeah.
Nothing less than strict equality.
And so then this one is going to be if the language code, you're going to do language.
So there's one exception here. We will have 2 exceptions.
Yeah, tell me
One
that.
is so in our list of languages and voices, we have a lot of different regional dialects for Arabic, and we only have one voice for Arabic. So what we want to do is we want to, no matter what remember what regional language is chosen for Arabic, we're going to make sure we use the Arabic voice that we have available to us in Vonage, because we want to be able to do that, right? We don't want to say it undefined or an error or something, because we do have an Arabic voice. We should have more, maybe one day we will, but we have one. And the XWW is actually shorthand for like international Arabic. So we have like international Arabic voice, whatever that means.
Yeah.
So we're going to make sure we use that one if we come across and lands on Arabic.
Okay, so you're just was this kind of you saw in debugging? Did you predict that this was going to be?
I did not predict it. I ran into it.
Okay, cool. So you just realized that I need to make sure that I handle this scenario.
Exactly. And I went through our languages list and it felt pretty unique. I'm probably sure it's not the only one, but it's a very common one because there is a lot of dialects, and so it comes up more often than not.
Yeah.
And then if the voice choice was undefined, then we're going to make sure we default back to
what scenario
Sally.
would that be, that it would be undefined?
It's a good question. I ran into it somehow. I don't remember exactly how I ran into it, but I ran into it.
So, but we'll predict that for whatever reason, and
we
then
will
we'll just
obviate
always...
it ever happening. It'll never happen under our watch.
True.
We will never have that occur.
True. And you probably ran through it a bunch of times too to see.
I ran into it so many times. It's mostly for my entertainment.
Yeah, of course. No, it's fun. It's a really fun demo too. So voice choice dot name. Okay.
And we're just returning the actual name of the voice. That's
Yeah.
all we're doing. And that's
Sweet.
it for our functions. That's
Okay.
pretty cool. And the
Yeah.
last thing we need to do is just define our environment variables. We only need 2 of them, not the third one. That was what we did earlier with the event URL in the very beginning.
Okay. So
we
need to
just
do
need our subscription key and our endpoint.
And then Azure endpoint, right?
Right.
Okay, and I'm gonna just keep my code open, and I'm not gonna pull the, I'll show you all quickly what I'm grabbing from, but this is what the dashboard of Azure looks like. I'm gonna go in and grab my key and secret, but I'm gonna switch you back to the code so that you all don't see that because they're secrets.
They're so secret.
Can you actually walk me through where I can find, do you say that in your tutorial where to find them? But no.
I don't say
Where
I
do I
them.
find those?
I think you can find them in your, oh my gosh. This is live, people.
I know, right?
I think if you click on ASR Translate demo, perhaps.
Okay, let's try that.
I think it's app specific.
Oh, is it?
I think it is. Well, that's interesting.
Our Azure subscription has ended.
Did somebody end it on our team?
Our team, I don't know. Do you want to Slack them to me? Wait, but it probably won't work because you're using this. Were you using
Let's
this
see.
login?
I'll Slack it to you.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. We will see what happens, friends.
I bet if you were using this one, dang it.
Do we need to re-enable it somehow?
I know, I might need to like top up this account. You know?
I'm gonna Slack this to you. It's gonna be in our top secret Slack.
I know, right? Whoops.
I'm gonna wait to Slack it to you until you moved it away.
No, it's away.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm red.
I'm there.
Was that, so you just sent me
The key.
the key? Okay,
And
wait.
then this is the
I
endpoint.
have to turn on my secrets. Secrets. Key, and then the next one
And here's
is...
the endpoint. It's coming.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think that this is gonna work because... Well, let's see. Let's find out because you were using this subscription, right?
I believe I was. And I think it might not work based on the error we just got
Yeah.
on the web.
So what I wonder though is could we, all right, we're done with our secrets so y'all can see it now. So I filled in my end file and it looks similar to these top 2 pieces. Remember, we don't need this piece anymore. Okay.
So we have our environment variables that theoretically should work, but might not work.
If you have a developer portal pulled up, if you have a Azure developer account already, like for some reason ours looks like it's not working right now. You know what's interesting? Do you want to Slack our Azure advocate?
Our Azure advocate is
Kelly, right? You want to message him?
Kelly's our Google Cloud advocate.
That's right. Do we have an Azure advocate? That's right. He's Google Cloud. And
we don't
Adam
have an
is,
Azure advocate.
Dang it, this is the moment for an Azure advocate. Hello, future DevRel team. We need that.
This is your time.
This is your moment.
This
That's
is your
funny.
moment.
Okay, so do I want to make an Azure account? Do you think we need to do that?
Maybe.
Like if you log into Azure, do you see the same error that I saw?
I'm logging in right now.
Okay, cool. That's
to
what
see.
I was curious about.
I don't see that error.
Oh, great. So then we should be good.
Let me just see something for a second.
All right.
I'm checking the keys and stuff to see if it still
If they're the
corresponds.
same.
Yeah, they are the same. I don't see that error though.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's see what
Well,
happens.
I mean, we all know preemptively what the error will be if if something happens, right? So that's
Yeah,
okay.
I don't see that error.
Cool. Great.
Are you on our Nextmo DevRel Azure account? You are,
Yeah, the
obviously, right?
one, yeah, because I
There,
can see
right.
the Azure ASR translate.
Yep, you're clearly there.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know.
let's
TBD.
see. Yeah, let's see what happens.
So are we
Oh, and no,
ready?
now I see the
You
error.
got the error.
Now,
Dang.
yeah. Please check your subscription state.
Do you want to pop that into our PDX private and ask, or I can, um, and see if someone can top us up? That's some serious live debugging.
Huh.
That's funny. That's so, folks, like being on a DevRel team too, right? Like this, we all share these logins like this, and so and have them. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. Let's see if somebody says something.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
We can keep working through the other pieces of it for now. We're like getting close to being ready to test it, but I still have to put in my Nextmo. I have to set up my Nextmo line. Double check I have it here. Oh. Yeah, we got it. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna run Nextmo setup, and then I'm gonna put in the key and the secret, and I'm just gonna pop away to secrets really quickly.
I wonder if, let's see, if I can create a free Azure account.
That's kind of my next step.
Create your free account today. Look at that. Start free. Friends, let's see what the sign up process is like for creating an Azure account, the developer experience.
Okay, I would love to.
I tried signing my email address and now it's telling me I need to sign in with GitHub because somehow it's linked that. Because Microsoft Azure, GitHub, TypeScript, Deno, they're all kind of the same thing at this point. Let's do that. Signing in with GitHub. I need my two-factor authentication code now.
Okay.
I'm doing that. So
I'm
far
gonna
I've
just
clicked
have the
4
browser
times.
open for y'all to see.
I'm being redirected. We're unable to complete your request.
Okay.
A server error.
Okay.
I got a server error from Azure in creating an account.
Bummer.
You know, gotta give a lot of hugs and love to the DevOps people in these places. It's a lot of work,
Totally
you know?
right.
It's not easy.
There is something really funny happening. Something really funny is happening. The last 2 digits of my secret are bang bang, exclamation point, which when you run it in your terminal, when you run bang bang, it brings up your last command. So I don't know. I'm not showing it to the viewers, but watch right now if I try to type that. Oh, never mind. In space, it would do it, but I think
I am now creating my account. They asked for a credit card, but they promised not to bill you.
Okay.
This is live developer experience moments here, you know?
Truly.
Let's see here. Do we ask for a credit card when you sign on? I forgot.
No, we don't.
We don't, right?
No, at Vonage.
Right. You can sign up for an account without a credit card.
Exactly.
I think that's nicer. What do you think?
I completely agree.
Oh, I can't even use a credit card from the US. I have to use my local credit cards because they've geolocated me and won't let me use a credit card from somewhere else.
Oh my goodness gracious.
That's a very interesting choice there.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? That seems odd. Because a lot of people might be in one place and have a credit card in another place.
Yeah, no, totally.
That's a very common thing, I feel like.
Oh, for sure.
That's a weird... So now I have to do this again.
Okay.
Okay. New credit card. We're now switching to a local credit card. And now I have to put in an address. Will they take Hebrew characters? That's the question.
Oh no.
Well, and they ask you for a postal code, but they do not recognize my international postal code.
Great.
Oh, no, they do. Never mind. Sorry, I spoke too quickly.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Next. I now have an agreement.
Okay.
I don't want to.
I love this verbal. You're doing a great job of like narrating what we can't see.
I'm trying to do that.
You're doing an incredible job.
Yeah, thank you. Although if I do get any spam emails, they'll go into my screener on Hey.
You have a Hey.
Have a Hey.
Well,
Hey.
It just took me. I had to like reset my while we were just chatting about that, I set up my, or did this piece, the next most set up API key and secret. I had to rewrite my secret. I had to make a new secret, which is like a whole thing in itself. But you know what? We handled it. So I'm going to just continue. While you're doing that, I'm going to buy a number.
I'm now creating a resource.
Fabulous. Love that about you.
I think, what kind of resource do I want to create? I would remember. What was this? This was a cognitive services resource. That's what I'm creating, cognitive services.
Yeah. So what I'm doing on the terminal right now, everyone, is I'm searching in our Nextmo database for a new phone number to rent. And I'm going to, and it has a voice feature, was the kind of added parameter that I passed on. And now I'm going to buy it. So I'm using our CLI. Which is super, you can do this all on the dashboard, but I like to, in this series, show sometimes the dashboard and sometimes it in the CLI, and this is just kind of what that looks like. So I'm just gonna grab that bottom number that looks like a nice number. She looks cute, and then this is how I purchase it. I'll have to give a confirmation, because we don't wanna take your money without confirming it. Okay, so now we have that new number, and that's what this one is. That's awesome. The one we can use.
Good job.
Thank you.
I get to pick a region. Do I want Australia East, or Canada Central, or Central India, or East Asia, or Global, or West Europe? Let's do Global. Global,
sure.
We're global kind of people.
We are. So now, continuing in the trend of, I'm going to put it's geolocated me to the US, but my cards are not American. Yeah, Aaron has that. I was going to say he experiences that all the time because he's in the US, but has like global or, UK based credit cards, and that always happens. Same thing, like places will reject it. But now I'm going to use the CLI and build, I'm going to make a application. And this is the ASR, voice translation app. And what's my answer URL? Did we put that?
Oh, I cannot create a global resource. They only tell me that after I try and create it.
Oh, lovely.
So now I need to go back and pick one of the regions, which are presented to me as a string, comma separated with no spaces on a website. I would expect that as like an API return maybe, but not as a state on a website. Just let you know, Microsoft people, that's not the friendliest way to do things.
Just giving you some feedback. So my answer URL needs to be an ngrok. Is that right? Do I need to start up another one, by the way?
Your answer URL needs to be an ngrok. That is true.
Okay, so I need to start. Oh shoot. Telemarketer's calling me. No, thank you. Need to get Nanjo on the stream. Yes, we should. That's a good point. Then we can really get some feedback going. Cool. So those of you who haven't deployed with ngrok before, actually a lot of us already have, no, I don't want to make that assumption, but we have used ngrok recently on this stream. But I'm going to use another ngrok. Actually, no, I'm going to just do ngrok. What is it? What's the command? Ngrok start? No. That's if I have one already written. Ngrok HTTP. And did we do 8,000? Not 3,000?
8,000, yes.
Yeah. Let's see if that works. I think it will. ngrok. Yeah. Okay, so this is our, I'm going to copy this. So for those of you who are confused about what an ngrok is, that is I'm opening up the tunnel of my local development so that Vonage can read it, and it essentially makes it's open to the world, so that Vonage can see it. So I will paste that in, and then our answer URL is answer/answer.
I'm ready to give you a new API key when you're ready.
Oh, okay. Let me just finish this CLI command that I'm doing. I have Nexmo app create ASR voice translation, and then my ngrok, and is it answer? Is that what we built out? I could go back and
ngrok
check.
is the answer. Yes, that's right.
And then
your
also,
event URL is the same, but slash. What was the route we defined?
That's why I was.
If you go to server.ts.
Yeah, I can look. So webhooks.answer, and then webhooks.slash, event. That's it.
That's like really clear. Good job us.
Good job us. Okay.
But webhook/event.
Oh shoot! I didn't do that for either.
Webhook/answer.
I'm sorry. Good.
Don't apologize.
Good catch. No, I shouldn't. You're right. Okay, so good catch. Then we're gonna do /webhooks. Does that look right then to you?
That looks right. Yeah. I mean, you got a phone number as well, right? You did.
I did.
Perfect.
Just above it.
Amazing.
And then now what we're going to do is we have to bring so we created an application. There's our private key.
Which we don't need for this
content.
We don't
need it, so no worries on that. And then Nexmo.
You can probably run clear.
I forget what my phone number is, so I need to run up and grab it. Link. Well, I'll just delete this afterwards. Y'all can see the private key. Good luck entering that in anyway. So this is our phone number. We're going to link. So we just bought that phone number. We're going to link the phone number to this application. Yeah. And so we're going to take this application. This is the key, or no, it's the ID of the application. So this right here. So just to walk you through this command, it goes Nexmo link app, and then the phone number. We're linking the phone number to the application that we just created. So now they should be numbers updated to it. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to see. And now you said to me right before I finished this step was that you have some new credentials for me to toss over.
I do. You want to go to your secret place?
Yeah, I'm just going to show y'all the browser, and I will do it there then. So you can send it to me.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. This is one. It's top secret.
Top secret. Do-do-do-do-do.
And then this is the endpoint.
I still have to pee. It hasn't gone away, surprisingly. And isn't it the same? No, it's not the same endpoint.
Not the same, yeah.
Good note. Good note. Cool. Love jungle, strong as he can be. Okay. All right. So I have my new, thank you for creating that Azure account on the fly. That was really cool of you.
That was an interesting experience.
Truly. It's like gets you hot in the seat and like feeling like things are happening.
It's true.
It truly is true. Cool. Thank you, Aaron, for giving the tutorial on ngrok, a good explanation for it. Are we ready to run the app?
We could try it. We'll see what happens. There's a slight possibility for maybe some edge case that Azure is holding my account in some verified state. I don't know what their procedures are, but it might work. Let's hope it works.
Okay, let's find out. So Deno, y'all can see I have up on the view is my code. So Deno, run.
Right, so you see Deno is the executable, and then run is the command, and you have to give it permissions for everything you want it to do.
Yeah, this is funny.
You want to allow it to read the .env file. You want to allow it to access, well, I guess read and to read the language data list, the language and voices list, to access your .env file. You want to allow it to have web access.
And is the net
is the internet access.
Oh my God. So then I tell it what I'm running is the server file.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh.
There's an unexpected comma.
Where?
On server.ts line 56.
Oh, 50, sorry, it was actually, okay. Yeah, that's funny. I was actually just looking at line 56 before we executed it, thinking like, there's an error. There's a squiggly line. And
that probably fixed it.
Hopefully that'll fix it. That's so fun. Code, you're so reliable and consistent.
May all of our errors be as
easy
as that.
Truly. How easy was that? Oh,
that was so easy.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Unexpected token. In voice picker.
Line 5.
Okay.
Unexpected token arrow. Line 5.
That's this line. Okay, so let's go back to your tutorial and double check where we have that. Language.code, split. That looks right. That looks right. Oh, that's not a, look.
What is that?
I put in an arrow for no reason. And I shouldn't have.
Okay.
Just have it maybe? I don't know.
We just like arrows.
That's funny. Okay, let's see that again. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Got an error.
What's not found?
This one is that.
Did opine change? Ooh.
Import opine didn't work.
That's interesting.
And that's
okay,
our
let's
first
look that
thing
up.
in.
Opine Deno. Maybe they changed.
Maybe it updated.
Yeah, that's
possibly.
It's very possible.
We're
what
so
was the URL we
close.
had
Oh my
for
gosh.
Opine. It did change. It changed in
did?
a great way, Lauren.
Why? Tell me more.
It's opine at main, not at master.
Fuck yes. That's rad. That is awesome. How cool is that? And is everything else the same?
Everything else is the same.
Heck yeah. I'm going to give you a streaming high five. That's really great. Okay, cool.
And look how challenging that was for us to change master to main. That was so hard for us. Sarcasm all intended.
Totally. This is amazing. So now it's running and it's compiling. Okay, I'm so nervous. And that doesn't help the feeling in which one has to pee. I feel like I'm playing hide and seek. And I'm like, oh, they're going to find me. Oh, no, I suddenly have to pee. Oh, 3 errors found. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's okay, everyone. Oh my gosh, Ben, I realize I'm now like at the 10:30 mark for you. So it cannot find the voice list. Do I mean voices list? Yep.
That is what we mean, right? Voices
yeah,
list.
So I must have written it. I can remember typing voice list. So that means that would have been in server.
That's line 41.
Okay. Voices list. Cool. Great. And now our next one would be a block scoped variable language
Fourth
used.
declaration, const language equals, that's in the language picker.
Okay.
There it is.
So here I'm using language, const language. Is that?
I think it's actually languages.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Because you're passing in the languages here.
That should do that
Sweet.
one.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then
And
same,
maybe that might be it.
I think it's probably both of that. Okay, so let's run it again. Cool. That was such a lovely experience debugging. It told us exactly what to. Voices versus voice and languages.
It's like strongly typed languages are very helpful.
I mean, that was like really, if all debugging looked like that,
we'd be happy.
What would
Just happy.
Why am I trying to drink my water again? Get away from me, devil juice.
And it's running.
It is.
And
wait.
You have to allow it.
Do I want
to accept
do y'all see? Sorry, I got nervous because I looked away and then I saw this, so I wanted to allow. I have to pee.
And is ngrok running as well?
I don't know. Let's look. It
is running.
So,
Beautiful.
do we want to call it now?
We can call it.
Oh my gosh. I don't remember the phone number.
That's complicated.
Wait. How could here?
It might be in your Vonage dashboard.
Let's hope.
If you go to numbers.
Yeah, if I go to numbers. Y'all want to do that with me? Let's do it.
Or numbers.
No, don't look. There's my secrets. I'm gonna have to change my secrets again. That's okay. I seem to do it all the time. And that's okay. Yeah, that's the one we just bought. Was the in 30 days because that would be it. 1205. Ooh, dysgraphia is coming in where I can't read the numbers. 350-5613. It's so hard for me to read numbers like that. Okay, speaker. Can you hear it? Oh, damn it.
Did it hit? If look at ngrok.
Let's go to ngrok. Not found. Webhook event.
That was webhook event 405 not found.
Shoot.
Is it web? It's webhooks/event, right? Oh wait, go back for a second. Go back.
Go back to
the ngrok.
ngrok.
Yeah. It says post. We want get. So if you go to your applications in your dashboard.
This is my
and then ASR voice translation.
No, this is my Achilles heel.
And then I think it's like maybe it's edit. It might be edit. And then if you go down, get.
They are gets.
No, all of them though.
Oh, that first one wasn't a get.
And then save.
All right.
It should have still answered though, but we'll get some event data.
Let's go back to the code. Let's give it a call. Recent call. Okay.
Oh, there's get.
Your call cannot be completed at this time. Please try again later. En este momento no se puede.
Can you go back to the Deno server console?
Sure.
I thought I saw some stuff scrolling maybe.
Ah.
I don't know.
Okay. This is interesting. I'm glad we printed out the query.
So if we start, yep. Ringing.
I see ringing. NCCO
Ringing.
download error.
404. NCCO download error. What does that mean? Let's look at our NCCO again.
Okay.
The first one.
Where is that? That was in
server.ts, and then it's in the first root.
Yeah, I remember that.
So we have action talk text, and that's a string and a string. And I think that's what it's supposed to be, if I'm not
If you
mistaken.
cross compare your code.
I'm just going to quickly check.
Yeah, sure.
Yep, string in a string,
We're
barge
good.
in true. Event URL. Did you capitalize the U in the URL? You
Yeah.
did.
And I just copy and pasted
And
what
that
you
is
sent
an
me
array
over
of a
this
string.
bit. Yeah, do you
And
want
then
to...
the event
Does this
method
all
is a
look
get.
right to you?
And then go back again. Go
To...
speech is the UID. That looks right. Language is NUS. That looks right. And then speech, da da da. And then you have closing the first bracket, closing the second bracket.
Yeah. Lauren,
Then-
burner phone. Ah, burner phone. Thank you. Good reminder. On it. Getting it.
Closing two brackets, and then closing the curly brackets, and closing the bracket, and then closing the parentheses. That looks correct.
Okay. Dang it. So, but okay, it we didn't hear even this bit. Does that make like so we're aired out there, right?
Well,
Or
not
no?
necessarily. Why don't we actually just do that first action? So the
Comment
delete
out.
or comment out. Comment. You don't need to comment that part out. Just comment out the second half of that JSON body.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, from there. Yep. Just comment that out. See if we can hear ourselves.
Okay. Sorry, I have to put up the phone number and a new one. 1-205-350-5613. Call it.
Thank you for choosing AT&T Prepaid. Manage your service
Damn it,
anytime.
my burner phone needs new, whatever. Try visiting the answer URL in your browser to just see the NCCO output. I like that
That's
idea.
a good
It's a great idea.
Yeah, good idea. Nope, download error.
Okay. All right. So that's good note. That's a good idea.
doesn't- Make any sense why that'd be a download error. It's such a simple NCCO at that point.
Right. Bring that back just in case we forget to do that. Okay, so now let's go to localhost 8000
Right.
and then
Webhooks / answer. Interesting. Cannot get webhooks answer.
and it's nothing to do with yeah.
Why cannot get webhooks answer?
Stream can't you can't see the browser, sorry. It's this. What's an NCCO download error? Have you seen that before?
No, but I think based on what the browser said, I don't think it's NCCO. I think it's us.
Okay.
Cannot get route.
Okay.
I've never seen it. I think it might be like something we're doing wrong with Deno, but this worked just a few days ago.
I mean, I've seen it run. I wonder. I wonder. Okay, I wonder what it could be. Let's see the code for the route again. Sure. So the route for the answer looks like this. You can hide your terminal so we can't see more. Yeah, doing it. Oh, you're back in the browser. I'm so sorry. I need to get better at that. Okay, so this is what the get webhooks answer. I'm going to go to my applications, double check that that's the correct webhook. Just double check that. Edit. And webhooks event, webhooks answer. Did I spell webhooks correct? Yeah. And it's just the full ngrok. Yeah, that's normal. Okay, and let's see then. So I mean, sometimes
we're listening on the right route, or port, I mean, right? 8000. Huh.
Oh my gosh. Papa Smurf of Death. Webhooks.
What would...
That's
Oh
it!
my gosh.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Thank you.
We love you.
This
We love
is the
you.
beauty of freaking streaming. That's it. That nails it exactly. That feeling of like, I can't see it myself. I need someone else to see it. And you're exactly right.
I'm like, I'm reading the Opine docs. I'm like driving in
Oh
there
my
trying
gosh.
to find out.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna just
Restart.
Yeah, I'm gonna restart. Oh wait, what? Oh, that was just our endpoint. Let's go back to, let's bring my terminal up a little. Oh, that's so funny. Okay.
Let's see what happens.
Let's do it. Let's do this again. Let's do this again. Second pair of eyes always does it. No, that's so true. And that is what, I mean, it's the beauty of paracoding, but it's also the beauty of streaming is like, you know, we have this like nth degree of now so many eyes on it. No, damn
Your
it.
call cannot be
Well,
All right.
no, we haven't finished compiling it yet.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Now
Oh,
running.
it's all right. Cool.
We can even try hitting that endpoint in the web browser and seeing if it
Oh,
comes
that's a
up.
good idea.
Let's see what happens. Ah, there it is.
This is what you said in English. That's a good idea. This is your text translated into English, Tanzania. That's a good idea.
Well, it's all working, but that's boring. Let's do it again. So call again. Let's get a different language.
Wait, how
besides-
come I didn't get the welcome message? Did we barge in because I talked?
We barged in.
Okay, so I need to
Yeah.
be silent right now.
Welcome to the Vonage.
It's my fault. I'm pressing the volume up because I'm trying to make it louder for y'all, but you can hear it.
Welcome to the Vonage Universal Translator Randomizer brought to you by Lauren Learns Things.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I can't wait to hear what this sounds like.
This is
Ireland.
what you said in English. Hi. Thanks so much for helping me. I can't wait to hear what this sounds like. This is your text translated into English.
You don't have a
Ireland.
voice for that.
Hi. Thanks so much for helping me. I I can't wait to hear what this sounds like.
We need to try again. Let's get something.
One more
English.
time. But she did have a different voice.
That was interesting.
That was. You heard
Sally.
that.
Welcome to the Vonage Universal Translator.
Testing this now. Please be a new language.
Fingers crossed. There we go. Wait.
Okay, this is okay. This is like something. So
It's okay. Let's just run it again.
Oh,
Amharic. It's an Ethiopian language.
So
I don't know why it didn't pick up. Maybe I don't know. That might be an edge case. Let's run it again though. We need to run the app.
Why?
Actually, exited the app.
Oh shoot! I exited the app. Okay, so that's an edge case that we were kind of talking about before, of like examples of you ran into that, and so we have to do it if it's Amharic.
There's something about Amharic and Vonage.
Welcome to the Vonage.
Please don't let this be an edge case.
This is what you said in English.
Again, Sally.
Ugh, okay. All right. We're gonna try this.
Come on, friends. We can do this.
Welcome to the Vonage Universal Translator Randomizer.
Come on, friends. Let's do this.
This is what you said
English.
in English. Come
United
on,
States.
friends. Glad to do this.
Would it be?
Okay, we can do this.
We've called her 12 times. Don't make me call you a 13th time.
This is what you said in English. Don't make me call you 13 times. This is your text translated into Arabic, Tunisia. لا تجعلني يتصل بك 13 مرة.
Beautiful. We got it.
Wow.
13 times
Wow.
is our lucky.
You know, that's so true. Ben, thank you so much for sticking with me on that journey that we just went down. I agree. Aaron says that was a pretty bad Irish accent. You're right. You're not wrong. But that was a pretty great, what did we finally end up getting? That was an Arabic Tunisia.
But that was an example of where we had to resort to our international Arabic voice.
Yes, we kind of defaulted to that. Well, it's cool to see. It might be like another way to do it would be to swap, like get rid of all the English ones just for like demo purposes.
I think
don't
that
know.
probably makes a lot of
I don't
sense.
know.
There's a lot of English. How many English are there?
I don't
There's quite a
know.
lot.
Yeah, that seems funny if we like were to, but anyway, we got it going. And thank you so much, Papa Smurf of Death. You saved the day. So big thank you to you. Please make sure you take this coupon code that I have right here, put it in your browser. It's going to circulate and be a new one next month. And so we're getting to the end of the month. So make sure you grab that for now. And I will actually make sure that I send to y'all. Let me get you the our sign up link again if you want to play with all this stuff that we just built out. Please sign up and build yourself an account. Use this coupon code that we have. This is the sign up link right here. And also go give Ben a follow on Twitter and all the socials and just tell him thank you for teaching us this today. It was so fun to learn it with you and to kind of like struggle through it with you and to see the good, the bad, all of it in the world of Deno. I really appreciate you, Ben. This
was great. I appreciate you too. Thanks so much for having me.
This was also, it's so funny. Ben was like, I'm curious to start live streaming. And I feel like we had a good example of like, there's a lot of things that need to happen on the moment and got to think on your feet. And It's really
gotta be there.
It's kind of fun though, isn't it? Like there's something.
I'm having a great time.
It like gets your adrenaline.
Is it 11 o'clock at night?
Who knows?
I have no idea.
Will you be able to sleep tonight? I mean, like my pulse
Who
is.
knows?
I have to pee though. That's just reminding me that has to happen. So
there are some things that must occur.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for being there. Thank you to the chat for being here and being present and helping us debug and just being there for the fun times. I had a great time. Thank you, Ben Greenberg, and thanks for joining Lauren Learns Things. I will be back next week as always. I'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.
All right, stand by. Turning off our